There's a really good story that can reflect our social media consumption. It's the story of two wolves. Well, this is four. Two wolves that's battling inside each person. One is an evil wolf, like anger, sadness, self-pity, arrogance, etc. And the other one is the good wolf, like joy, peace, love, generosity, humility, things like that. And everyone has that inside. But you know which one will win?
Which?
The wolf that you feed.
And so everything that we consume from the internet, social media, TV, movies, everything that we consume are food for our minds. And therefore food for the wolves inside all of us. So we have to be careful about what we consume. You know, it's okay to sometimes have spicy food, sometimes to have, junk food, right? But all in moderation, because everything that we eat ends up feeding one of those wolves.
Hi,
we're
we're
Jose
Zen
and
Smile,
Smile.
and we invite you to have a chat with us over tea. On the third episode of ATin Lang podcast of SB19, they talked about the complexity of social media.
Yeah.
Actually, for us, we don't have a lot of social media. We only have this YouTube channel, Instagram, and our personal Facebook accounts. We don't have Twitter, we don't have TikTok. We don't feel like we have to be in all of the social media platforms because it makes our online life simple.
Like Pablo said, social media can be a double-edged sword,
Yes.
right? Right now, it's so prevalent in life, social media that is, and we're inundated with information.
Anyone, anytime can share their thoughts, whether it be truthful or not, or informed opinion or not.
And sometimes it's really difficult to determine whether that information is truth, whether it's lies, or whether it's just plain opinion.
Social media is actually very helpful because it made like the world more accessible.
Dati, yung artist sa US, hindi mo siya makikita. I mean, pag nasa
Totoo,
Pilipinas ka,
totoo.
makikita mo lang siya pag may na-import na magazines,
Tama,
na
tama.
ganyan, marinig mo sa radyo pag na-import na. Ngayon, yung lahat ng art ng celebrities, ng musicians, ng lahat ng tao sa buong mundo, kaya mo nang makita sa computer mo, sa cellphone mo.
That's actually how we learned about SB19 through YouTube because we don't have any Filipino channels.
As much as it made it easier for musicians to get into the market, right? It's also now a global competition,
Yeah.
right? So musicians and artists in general have to compete globally,
Yeah.
right? They don't just compete with the same artists or similar artists in their own
In their
countries.
place, yeah.
They have to compete with other
With
people,
everyone.
everybody around the globe, and they don't even have to have the same language,
Yeah.
right? So it's a tool, right? It could be good for you, it could be bad for you, and it could make it easy and it could make it difficult as well.
So now it's easier to promote yourself, but it's actually harder to stand out.
Yes.
It's actually funny when they talked about seeing their previous like videos or photos.
Trainees tayo, syempre. Yung itsura natin ngayon, di ba? Di ba? Kumbaga, parang level up na rin tayo kasi natuto na tayo manamit, natuto na tayo mag-ayos sa sarili natin.
Pag pinanood rin naman natin yung video natin noon,
Tinatawa-
kinukutsari natin.
Tinatawanan din talaga natin.
But we all have those pictures and videos for sure that we're embarrassed for people to see, and when our friends and family sees it, they would almost always make fun of us too, except that for them it's harder because they are celebrities and everyone can see it and it's
Right.
just all over the internet. The thing about noticing the negative things first, as Ken mentioned,
Pag naglagay ka ng painting sa wall na puti lahat, tapos may isang dot lang na mark,
Yung dot lang
mapapansin
makikita.
Yung dot lang mapapansin na.
I read it somewhere that it's because humans are actually biologically wired to see the negative in everything. Like our
I see.
ancestors didn't survive by going out of the cave and saying, oh, this is a beautiful day, there's a nice cloud, beautiful flowers. The first thing they would think about is this safe? Is there a saber-toothed tiger wanting to eat my family? So we're wired to look at the negative things so we can survive. But for modern times, we don't need that anymore. So you actually have to fight that biologically wired instinct.
But it's a muscle, right? And like any muscle, we have to exercise it. So for this, this time and day, we have to exercise that ability to see the positive things instead of focusing on the negative things. So it becomes more of a habit. We get better at noticing the good things other than just the bad things. Back in the days when Eraserheads was starting to be popular.
Yes.
Laban ni reply ni Sir Tito Miranda na,
Sa comments.
kung hindi mo trip, sa comments, kung hindi mo trip yung music nila, wag mo na lang pakinggan. Hindi mo naman kailangan kutsain yung
Sabi
pagkatao
ng
nila.
But back then, when Eraserheads started to become popular, people thought their music was trash, especially the older people.
Yes.
Right? Because it's very common. They use languages that are like almost just general, like conversation.
Regular
Yeah,
conversation.
that you would use on the street and things about, they talk about things like drinking and especially pareko.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They thought
Very
it was,
casual.
yeah, it's very casual. They thought it was trash. Not knowing that it would spawn a new genre of music in the Philippines, and a lot of other artists would follow suit, including Chito Miranda's Parokya.
Yes.
Right?
We love both.
We love both. I love their music, both
Yes.
music, right? So it just goes to show that tastes change, music change, and yeah, your opinion matters now, but to be honest, in the big scheme of things, not so much.
I find it really funny that some of them made dummy accounts before.
Gumawa tayo ng dummy account na
Tayo.
pangalan. Tayo ba? Si Josh lang ba?
Ako lang ata. Ewan ko, ikaw ba wala ka?
Sabi mo, umamin ka last time, umamin ka.
Umamin ka.
Para gumanti lang. Ay,
Kasi
para,
pero kasi sa Facebook, ako kukulit talaga, dinabash kami.
pero hindi pa tayo kilala talaga.
Hindi tayo sikat doon, hindi pa tayo nagbe-breakthrough noon or what. Pero kasi parang makukulit kasi. So ako, trash talk pala gusto nyo, papatol ako kayo. Ganun lang naman. And it's, somewhat, marirelease ko yung frustration ko minsan. Kasi nga, wala nagtatanggol sa atin eh. Ngayon, parang hindi na natin gaano kailangan masyado ipagtanggol
pero alam
sa
mo
sarili
yun,
natin.
And I'm happy for them because now ATin is doing it for them. So they can just concentrate on making music and let ATin defend them. When it comes to social media, everyone consumes it differently. Like some like the long format and some like short formats. And for me personally, I enjoy both. And I remember Pablo mentioned he doesn't have time to read books anymore, but for me, I do audiobooks so I can listen to books while doing my chores. But I also like watching like the short forms.
I like the learning aspect of social media, especially on YouTube, right? So the long formats is if I want to understand something in more detail, like how to change light fixtures here in the house.
Yep.
That's how I learned it. I just watched a lot of YouTube videos. And at the same time, I get lots of random, learnings.
Like
that,
very random
yeah. That I
things.
just find amusing, that I may not necessarily need in the future, but I just somehow find
Like
amusing.
cow hooves.
Yeah, like how to, to trim cow hooves, or how to make mochi or something like that. Yeah, just random stuff.
Ito tanong ko. Anong pinakagusto nyo sa social media? Ang pinakagusto ko sa social media, yung mga micro-contents na talagang may knowledge. Kasi ngayon, sobrang nakakatamad na magbasa ng mga libro na sobrang haba about something na gusto mong matutunan.
Yung iba, sinasummarize nilang nila eh, no?
How many seconds, no?
Like Pablo, like I said, I like the random element of learning in social media. When I was a kid, one of the things that I liked doing was reading our encyclopedias. So now you can start guessing my age. But I went through all of them and more than once. And sometimes on a random day, I would just pick a random letter and go through it. I think sometimes social media is the newer version of that, where I just randomly get information that I may or may not need in the future. Things like creating a shelter in the woods kind of thing. That might come in helpful.
Hopefully we won't need
The
that.
zombie apocalypse kind of thing. But at the same time, I like the entertainment element of it. Like we were talking about like pimple popper. Like I'm never gonna pop pimple. Well,
I don't know why
shouldn't
he
say
finds
that.
it very
But it's
interesting.
just
He's
fascinated.
entertained.
Oh yeah. Mostly I like the element of learning.
For me, I use social media for connecting with family and friends because most of them are still in the Philippines. And before social media, I'm the type of person who would actually write and mail, like the snail mail. So now I'm so happy that social media
Yeah.
is so easy, especially the video calls.
Yeah.
So I can easily talk to family and friends anytime. I think when Pablo asked,
Kaya napapatanong ako minsan, ano ba yung meron sa SB19? Bakit sinusuportahan talaga? Di ba? Kung kahit anong age range yan, parang talagang support pa rin talaga sila sa SB19.
personally, I think it's because they promote not just good music, but good values as well that transcends age.
I just know that my young nieces and nephews just like their music.
Yeah.
Parang nasa isang interview ka lang at may isa ka nasabi na, oh my God, mali pala yung nasabi ko. Popost nila yan, gagawing big deal, na parang it's the whole personality or yan na yung,
Yan na
talaga
yung,
yung
oo.
thinking mo, yung beliefs mo, yung pagkatao mo, yun ganun
Kahit
kakasama.
isang beses lang.
Everyone is made up of like different colors, and sometimes like at a certain time or day, someone will see just one color, just one aspect of your personality, and they will assume that's who you are. With social media, that's what's happening because they only see like a glimpse of your life, of who you really are. So it's easy for them to judge
And misjudge.
and
misjudge
misjudge.
you.
Yeah.
It's really kind of sad to hear this.
Super na-appreciate niya yung suporta ng fans na parang gusto niyang magbalik. So parang napapansin ko, yung ibang fans kasi, dumidiretso sa parents. Siyempre, parang mini-message din nila si mama, nagsasend ng mga messages, ganyan. Sana rin yung 18, hindi nila gawing parang gawing opportunity yung parents natin para lang maging malapit sa atin.
Nung may nagpunta na fan sa mismong bahay namin na kumakatok na para magpa-picture at magpa-video greet. Na parang, para sa akin, hindi na siya appropriate.
Because we've seen the boys be very, very generous about their time
Yeah.
during their concerts.
Yeah, you
Whenever
will
they're
see.
here.
You will
Right.
see it on our
They
videos.
take a lot of effort to sign things for the fans, to take photos. Nobody can say that they're selfish about their time with
Or
18.
snobs.
Or snobs or anything
Or
like that.
inconsiderate. Like,
Everybody deserves a break, for heaven's
Yes,
sake, right?
yes.
Even the U.S. president takes a holiday,
Yes.
So if they're resting, I think they deserve that.
I know.
We should respect that.
Can you imagine if, for example, you file for vacation and then you're on a holiday and then your work calls you and says,
Yeah.
"Oh, I want you to do this." Like, wait, I'm resting. Give me this break.
Yeah.
Just respect.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny that sometimes they're actually part of group chats of 18?
Nagbabasa kasi ako ng mga private DMs ng mga fans sa Twitter. Tapos nakikita ko na parang meron doon everyday nagme-mess. Hindi lang siya isang tao. Marami parang everyday ginagawa kang diary. Doon sila nag-update. Tapos minsan pag sobrang down sila sa araw na yun, imbes na mag-rant sila, doon lang nila binubuhos sa'yo. Kasi alam
Super
nila,
dami.
hindi mo nababasa. Kala nyo, di namin nababasa.
Actually, marami nga ganyan.
Mahilig din ako magbasa. As in,
Yung mga kasali ko pa sa group chat nila.
Oo, nakita mo pa yung mga chismis na
Umabot
pinag-uusapan
na.
nila.
Ilang
actually,
ano
doon
na.
ako nakikichismis sa mga
I wonder if they're actually chatting too,
Ooh, or they just kind of,
or they're just
just
reading. I don't know the issue about Stel and the Boyet
Yeah.
character. I haven't seen that, but based on Stel's story,
Tapos nung time na yon parang na on the spot sinabi gayahin ko daw si
Boyet yung parang
si Boyet.
Aubrey.
Yung may mentally challenged na character sa
Tapos sabi parang on the spot sinabi ni Kuya Christian na gayahin ko si Boyet. So syempre dahil nandoon naman ako sa spot na yon ginawa ko. Pero yung intention ko nun is to hindi naman parang gayahin si Kuya Kenchan kasi
Yung situation.
kasi siya
Yung
yung
nag-play
character.
ng
na
Boyet, okay.
sobrang iconic. Actually, ang nag-start fan natin.
Talaga.
Parang hindi naman siya talaga totally galit sa akin. Parang na-call out lang ako or parang kinall
Parang gusto
out
ka
yung
i-guide.
action ko mismo.
Yeah, and you could tell Stel was feeling bad during that podcast. The entire time, I was like, oh, is he sick? Is
I
he,
know.
But he was quiet most of the time,
I
and then I think this was
know.
weighing on his mind. I think it was really, really weighing on his mind. And I think it's another matter of people taking it out of context, right?
it's actually cute that they're all defending Stel.
Yeah, they were mega defend for Stella. I
Because
think
they know
that's right.
Stel.
I'll give the benefit of that. Assume good intent, right? But the 18
Mm-hmm.
that brought it up really just means to say, hey, Stella,
Just in
heads up.
case some
Heads
people
up.
misunderstand.
Exactly. Just in case some people, misunderstand, just know that it could be offensive. And I think that if that's the case, that's
And
okay.
I commend Stel for being quick to
Yeah,
apologize.
yeah.
Siguro ito yung tamang platform para sabihin ko na sorry. Kasi, to be honest, ginawa ko siya not to hurt anyone. Hindi ko intention na i-mock yung someone.
And you could tell that he felt really bad. Like the entire, I mean, he's usually like
I
the
know.
loudest, the one that's most talkative, funny, laughing all the time. And this podcast,
Yeah.
he definitely felt
Hopefully he
different.
feels better now.
Yeah. So Ken's example was
I wore yung earrings na Hanafuda earrings.
Hanafuda.
Hanafuda earrings sa anime Demon Slayer. Although eto naman wala naman siyang bad thing na sinabi. It's just reminding her daw na yung
Cultural
design kasi ng
appropriation.
earrings na yun medyo ng something
Japan,
sa
Japan
Japan
sun,
yung
sun,
yung sana
something.
ganun nga. Tapos yung history ng Pinas and sa Japan. Sinuot ko lang yun because I'm a
Hindi
fan
ka naman
and wala
aware.
akong
Hindi ka
intention
aware.
na anuhin kung ano yung mga history. Wala akong kung ano yung alungkatin kung ano yung past. Kumbaga, gustong-gusto ko lang yung anime and I wore it because it was given to me by a fan.
and I know that anime. I've watched
He's
it,
a
read
big anime and manga person
that. Yeah,
too.
I'm not sure if I'm big anymore because I'm not caught up, but I still like it, and so I totally understand that.
May good kumbaga to raise awareness din na ganyan pala nangyari, ganyan pala yung history natin. Pero, yeah.
Pero alam mo minsan, gusto ko lang sabihin,
Thank you so much for educating me.
Assume good intent. So for him to be bashed for that seems really, really silly. But again, assuming that the person that told him about it is just also means well to just
Again,
inform
assume
him.
good intent.
Assume good intent, and then it's okay. But it's also the way you say it, right? There's always, I've heard this say before, say what you mean, but don't say it mean. right?
Ooh, it rhymes.
But hopefully it was said in a nice way, right? Not in a mean way.
What I remember is Taylor Swift line, so casually cruel in the name of being
Being honest,
honest.
yes.
Yeah, you can be honest without being,
Being
cruel.
cruel, absolutely.
Ooh, this OT,
Yeah.
OT1, OT2 thing.
So gets ko yung OT5. So parang yung 5 sinusupport
gusto
niya.
nila.
Tapos nung nakita ko yung OT1, so parang gets ko na yung idea na isa lang yung sinusuportahan. So gets ko, okay. Ang hindi ko lang nagustuhan sa part na yun is
Sorry to interrupt. Ano yun, papakinggan lang yung part niya sa kanta natin.
hindi ko alam. Hindi ko nga alam actually, pero nagulat lang ako na may ganun pala. Tapos yung OT1 pa na yun, parang they support that member but they bash the other members.
If you want to support your OT1, you should also support the group he loves and the group he works with. I really don't get that. That's very crab mentality.
Like one to the detriment of the others,
Yeah.
that seems very toxic to me.
And the
That
sad
seems so
part
toxic.
is actually we've encountered it in one of the comments in one of our videos. Someone praised one and really trashed the others. I'm like, no, we don't tolerate those things. That's wrong. So we just delete it. I know each of us are entitled to have their own preferences and opinions, but we are also entitled to ignore it. And we don't like that. That's
Yeah.
wrong.
It's okay to be, to have a bias,
like
to have a
an
favorite.
extra.
Yeah. Like you could obviously be extra to some members,
Yes.
but again, to bring in, to bring down everybody else so that you can
Yeah.
elevate that one person, that doesn't sound like an 18 to me.
Because
Right.
the boys are working as a team. Again, there's no winner or loser. They either win together or lose together. So if you want to support one, you have to support all. That's how I see it, at least.
And that's what they said, right? They say mahalima, which means mahal
Love
and five,
five.
love five, right? So mahalisa, so
Yeah, I
which is
know. Si
love
Ja
one.
again.
That doesn't make
Yeah.
sense. So yeah, no, it's hard for me to imagine an 18 that really,
That
bashes everybody else just so that one person, their bias, is the only
Yeah,
one
no,
successful.
that's wrong.
That seems toxic to me.
Social media detox, nag-ano talaga ako, nagbe-break muna ako minsan. And hindi lang tayo yung laging affected doon. Minsan sila rin. Yung mga, parang syempre, yung mental health nila, involved sila doon lagi. Pag sila yung nakikipagsapalaran, sila yung nakikipagsagutan. So minsan okay lang din minsan. pahinga kayo, pahinga. Ayan, detox kayo.
Yes.
Magkasalita tayo, anything against sa isang tao, pwede naman nating sabihin siguro in a nicer way, gano'n. Sabi ni John Paulo Nase, always choose to be kind.
For us, sometimes we ask each other, would you rather be right or kind? Like being right, even if you're right, you don't have to like fight with people online because that's not a kind thing to do.
But I think there's a lot of choices out there that you can choose to be kind instead. One of them is whether you want to be right or you want to be kind, right? The other one is you could just be nonchalant about things, like ignore things, or you can choose to be kind and do something, right? So I think I really like that. I like that just simplicity, for simplicity's sake,
Yes.
choose to be kind. I like
And
that.
I recently read in a book, like before you say something, this is very hard to practice, like in real life when emotions get to you. But online, I feel like you have more time to process things. Like ask yourself 3 questions before you post. Like, is it the truth? Is it necessary for you to say it? And is it kind? Like, I feel like that's a really good like guidance.
Yeah. For most people, I think they can practice that. I think Josh talked about trolls, right? The internet trolls.
Yeah, I
I
think
think
those
there's
are
just
hopeless.
going to be, yeah, I think those are hopeless cases, I really think. Part of it is because there's anonymity. Sorry, I'll get there. Anonymity behind the internet, right? Because I betcha it's hard for them to say that in person,
I
right?
know.
Yeah, because it's just so mean and so rude. So I think they only do that, the trolls, because they can hide behind it.
Yeah.
One of the downsides to social media is that people sometimes only show one side of things, and that's okay because that's what they want to show.
Itong podcast na to, matutunan nila, ma-realize nila na walang perpekto. Kumbaga, sometimes we see social media, yung mga nakikita natin sa social media maganda, perpekto, pero sana mas ma-appreciate natin yun kesa dun sa mga simpleng maling bagay na nagagawa. And if you see that person, nakita nyo sa social media perfect, and then makita nyo sa personal, hindi pala makinis or what, parang expect that kasi yun yung reality. I mean, merong reality behind everything and hindi perfecto yung mga taong nakikita nyo.
Yes.
Right,
People forget.
People forget that nobody's perfect. The other really kind of dark side to this is then they see that perfection and use that as a bar to gauge other people, and worse, they gauge themselves. They measure it. They use that measure to measure themselves. That yardstick to measure themselves, and that's a really good way to be disappointed and be sad and depressed about things, because you're now comparing yourself to a perfect life, which I just said it's not truly
It
perfect.
does not
It
exist.
doesn't exist.
Bottom line is, we cannot really trust everything we see in social media, in the internet, or even in the news, because behind those posts are people who are imperfect, and we cannot expect perfection from imperfect people. So that's it. Thank you again for joining us today.
Bye.
It's interesting that the boys actually look at fans' social media.
Yeah, they sometimes join G.
You know how
Gotcha.
Taylor Swift and Ed Sheeran surprise their fans sometimes? They go to fans' houses sometimes to surprise them.
Wow, imagine if the boys did that. That'd be kind of crazy.
We can fit in the house.